Nathan, when you think about the kinds of companies, the kinds of clients that you work with in your region and nationally, and look at the big picture trends and challenges, what do you think is the biggest problem or challenge that the companies that you work with are dealing with right now? And what do you wish they would look at with a slightly different perspective?
So the secure disposal of all of their assets is always a big challenge, right? Making sure that whoever they're utilizing or whatever they're doing to dispose of the older equipment once they're done with it and upgrading to new hardware, moving to a different colo, those assets need to be securely disposed of. A lot of the trends still right now involve, shredding a lot of those older hard drives. Whereas there's technology out there that can overwrite those drives versus destroying them completely. And then that allows for the resale or the reuse of those hard drives, which again would drive revenue back to the customer's, end all IT budget. And then obviously reuse is the best form of recycling. So it's kind of that balance of destruction for the drives, or do we allow the assets to be overwritten and then you know reused or resold essentially. So those are some key things to consider, and then also making sure that any assets that are disposed of end up being recycled responsibly and just don't end up in a landfill. So for example, we're R2V3 certified. So we've got a zero landfill policy. We have to track all of the downstream materials that we're sending out for disposal. All of those precious metals, plastics, components, all of that material gets smelted down and then reused into other products. So again, from a recycling standpoint, reuse is the best form of recycling. But if there are organizations that have security practices or compliance requirements that mandate destruction of those drives, then that's understandable. Again, you just want to make sure that however you're disposing of those after they've been shredded, that whoever you're using is doing the due diligence and making sure that equipment and that material doesn't end up just being tossed somewhere. Hi, this is Nathan Foli from DMD Systems Recovery, and you are watching the Data Center Go to Market podcast.